and welcome to Moms on a Mission. We are so grateful for your support with My Pillow. We have had lots of orders coming in, and we just want to say thank you. This Moms on a Mission podcast is not free. While it's fun, it's not free. And so we so appreciate your support. If you go to mypillow.com and type in the code MISSION, there's so many things that you can purchase there, sheets and towels, slippers, which are my personal favorite, even dog beds and mattress toppers. So there's really everything that you would need for a good night's sleep for you and your furry friends. So if you go to mypillow.com and type in the code MISSION today, we would so appreciate your support. And with Christmas coming, it's hard to believe that is just right down the road. You could also buy your family and friends some items from My Pillow as well. So thank you so much for your support, and we so appreciate it. So today we have some wonderful guests with us. They have found that when learning of the nightmare of quote unquote protective services and the threat it poses to the family unit, a clearinghouse of information seemed to be missing, a place that pulled together the multiple areas of research and resources that were available for those affected. Aside from knowledge of the problem, it is their hope that you can find a place of comfort there and knowing that you are not alone in the fight. This was the very reason that they started Let Our Children Go. Please welcome to Moms on a Mission, Mark and Terri Stemann. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Miriam. Thanks
Hey
for
there.
on your show. We really appreciate the opportunity to share with your audience what we're doing at Let Our Children Go, and to let people that have been touched by the Child Protective Services and the family court system that they're not alone, and that there are people out there that care about them.
That's great. So if you could just explain, who you are and what you do for those who may not know, and just share that with our audience, that would be great.
Yeah, well, I'm Terri. This is my husband, Mark, and we got involved in this particular issue about 7 years ago, and we had our own run-in with the Child Protective Services system and the family court system out of Louisville, Kentucky. And we were homeschooling our 7 children. And there was an issue that came up, a medical issue with one of our children, our oldest children, who was 17 at the time. And we ended up having all 7 of our children taken from us by the state of Kentucky through the child welfare system there that includes the family court system. And so what happened as we were doing research and looking into what was going on, we started learning a lot of things about how the system is set up, how it's unconstitutional, and how they're basically traumatizing and terrorizing families by the way they're being allowed to operate in our country. We did find that this is going on in other countries, but being here in the United States, it was just a shock to realize that there's a system that's being allowed to operate in this manner in our own country. And so my husband, he's a 20-year veteran of the Air Force, and having this happen to us, I started connecting with other families and realizing how widespread the problem was. And so Let Our Children Go grew out of that awareness that we were gaining. And so we just continue to grow it and to connect with other families and to build the organization to be able to help other families. And we can get into a little bit of what our mission is. And I'll let Mark, if he has something to say.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you, Miriam, for hosting us. It's great to be with Moms on a Mission, because we're also on a mission, and it's a very important mission. As Terri was kind of highlighting, what we really have happening across the United States right now is a predatory operation under the disguise of a child protection scheme, which is acting to destroy a lot of families, otherwise good parents, otherwise good, happy, healthy homes. That's involving really the outright deprivations of all of our constitutional rights, all of our protections that our founders put in place to ensure the securities of our freedom. And this is a huge problem because of the destructive impacts. And big picture is that this was all kind of driven by the Clintons' Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997, where it incentivized the CPS family court system and other agencies associated with those two with large amounts of our Title IV Social Security money, and the incentive, the real driver of it is that they have to take more kids every year in order to receive an annual bonus under the adoption aspect. And so it's get kids into the system who are not reunited with their families for various reasons, and namely, specifically, not convicted of a crime, that they have to go and get more kids every year to facilitate the continuance of this scheme. And so it involves a lot of different things in respect to the destruction of the family unit. Like I said, it is a disguised operation. I call it a fraudulent operation because in most cases in all 50 states, what's happening is parents are not charged with a crime, let alone convicted of one. And they frame it as like a civil proceeding, even though there's no contract between the parents and the state government agencies for the oversight of their families. And so it's just someone making an accusation, and there are bad people that have animosity towards some parents, and they're using the system as a weapon to facilitate this scheme and watching their children get basically kidnapped under the color of law. And then what happens is the parents are then subject to long-running, difficult, nightmarish type situations where they're forced into a long line of services that they want to force upon parents. And this really kind of violates the 13th Amendment, and even in our respective states, to involuntary servitude. We've only chartered that as a duty or responsibility of our government if we've been convicted of a crime, to be subject to that type of a thing. And so where parents are not complying with services, or those who do, what's happening is that they will come up with things through the enactment of these services, like a psychiatric evaluation, anger management, drug testing, family counseling, and anything else that they want to come up with over a very short period of time. And they don't use these services in most cases to facilitate the reunification, even though they say that's their goal. What they really do is that they will just make things up, fabricate them, or come up with some reason to destroy the family unit and then adopt the kids out. And this is where child traffickers are getting a hold of children. And then they eventually, after they age out of the system, they move them into human trafficking. And then it even crosses our borders into the international realm. And so this is a huge problem. These things are done in closed courts with no jury trials. So the American people and parents who are being subject to this are not being granted government of, by, and for the people. And then they, project this narrative of in the safety and best interest of the children. And a lot of people will just buy into that and not dig any deeper. And actually, when you can dig in a little bit deeper and uncover what's really going on, a lot of the atrocities then kind of well up to the surface. And this is what we're doing in our campaign and making people aware, because as Terri said, we were subject to this in 2016, where someone made an allegation against us regarding the health of our 17-year-old daughter after we took her in for a simple eye test. And we went and got a second opinion, said that she was in good health under no restrictions. And yet the CPS agency continued to proceed against us, to where they eventually kidnapped our children. They took all 7 of them from us, and now 7 years later, and we still have not been able to reclaim our children. And what we really uncovered in the midst of our investigation, Miriam, is this. And this is where it really becomes a big issue for the American people, and that we're out here in the public arena, not just for ourselves, but because what we uncovered operating in Louisville, Kentucky, we discovered that they are a self-acclaimed national model with this family court system. And then through our investigation, we identified a child trafficking network there, and we know who's involved. And the people who eventually got a hold of our kids are involved in this network. It involves doctors, attorneys, judges, private citizens, and we know who's involved. And we reported all of these crimes up to the highest levels of the Department of Justice, and we've been denied everywhere we've been. And so because the system failed us, we're out here right now asking for help from the American people, and raising awareness, not just in respect to our own case, but there's thousands, even hundreds of thousands of families across all 50 states who are suffering in similar ways. And so that will kind of segue into a little bit about our organizations and what our mission is.
I have a question real quick. So
Sure.
tell me, so first of all, I am so sorry to hear this. This is absolutely heartbreaking, number one. Also, thank you for your service, Mark. We so appreciate that. But tell me just a tiny bit more. So, where were they when they were kidnapped?
Yeah, well, as Terry said, we were we were a homeschooling family, and we took our daughter in for that IE test, and the practitioner wanted to dig a little bit deeper in Amy's health, and because Amy was tall and thin, like she was a thriving adolescent, and most adolescents go through big growth spurts, and it kind of went into one of these situations where within about a month time frame, CPS began making inquiries into our life and making phone calls. And we had already scheduled that second appointment, went in for that second appointment, got the second opinion, got a good bill of health. She was fine. Her height and weight were different. She was in a much better zone. And then the way they got a hold of our kids was on April the 6th, within about a 42-day period from the first doctor's visit, I went into the court with my daughter, Amy, and showed the good health document, and they rejected all of that and ordered Amy to the hospital. They put me in jail without charging me with a crime, basically holding me as a condition until Terry gave them the other 6 children. And so they went back to our home. Amy did not go directly to the hospital. They took her actually back to our house and began moving her things out of our home down to the place where they were eventually already predetermined to go, which was with her father and his girlfriend. And so, the judge ordered Amy to be taken to the hospital, but that wasn't done. And so, failure to abide by a judicial order. I mean, they don't seem to care when it's on their end, but when apparently other people don't, they like to make issues about it. And so after 10 days in the hospital, Miriam, what happened was Amy was not diagnosed with what the first practitioner alleged was that she was anorexic. So she was not diagnosed with that condition. And then when they moved into other areas of our life, when they found out our children were homeschooled and that they didn't know what grade they were in, that they alleged that we were educationally neglecting them because they didn't know what grade they were in. And, as homeschoolers, they went year round, and we never told them what grade they were in. It gave us a lot of flexibility. We registered with the state. We followed all of the applicable state laws as far as homeschooling. And so we were in compliance with the law. And they said that they didn't have any record of us registering, even though we had received proof that they acknowledged that we had registered. And so on those 2 main counts, that's where they said that we were educationally and medically neglecting our children. And it's really kind of strange because we took it upon ourselves to go get the first assessment because we thought Amy might have some issues with her eyes in respect being able to see, and we wanted to get her license. So we took the initiative to get her medical treatment. And then we went to go get a second opinion. And that's always been our practice. Whenever our children needed something, we would go get them. And for the most part, if our children didn't need to go to the hospital or see a doctor, well, we didn't go because they were in good shape. We wouldn't see a need for that. And so, so it's been 7 years. Like I said, we did our own investigation. We uncovered a whole bunch of crimes. And do
you know where they are? Do you know where your kids are located?
Yeah, well, 3 of them have aged out now. We have 4 of them now have aged out. Correction. So, but we have been able to make contact and reunite with one, our son Noah. But the other 3 girls, we have not been able to reconnect with. And the 3 younger ones, whom we're still fighting very intensely for, who are still being held basically hostage. We have not seen or heard from them for almost 7 years, almost within a couple months after they were taken. So,
how old were they? How old were they were taken?
Yeah, well, Abby,
our youngest was 3 when they were taken, and our oldest was 17. So Abby just turned 11 a few days ago.
Yeah. So it's very difficult because, as a veteran, Miriam, I took the oath to support and defend the Constitution. And that oath is still very applicable for me, even though I'm a retired 20-year veteran. I still take my oath seriously, and I'm going to uphold that. Our constitutional rights are very important to our freedom as Americans. And, that's what we're standing on. And yet we've been denied all of the protections of our constitutional rights. And And I never thought that I would be subject to such a situation, having taken the oath and being faithful to that, knowing that, we had never been charged with a crime in respect to this, even though our, child welfare is a criminal statute in just about every state. It is in Kentucky. And so because we made no contract with the state of Kentucky and we didn't get charged with a crime, we refused to comply with services. And because we would not comply with the services, they levied a penalty or punishment upon us by giving our kids to other people, which
so you made the crime of standing up and saying no, and so then they weaponized the institutions against you. And I mean, we're seeing it all over. You're seeing bills in California now that they're trying to pass, as you probably know, that if you do not, quote unquote, affirm your child of their gender ideology and their gender choice, that they are threatening to take your kids away from you and to put you in jail. And they're calling that child abuse. So, I mean, we're seeing this nationwide. It's just, it feels like it's a little bit louder since 2020, but clearly this happened to you all a long time ago. I wanted to ask, are there no attorneys who are taking this on and advancing this, all the way up to the Supreme Court if necessary?
Yeah, well, many of the attorneys are part of the problem, who are part of these little rings that they have running. And then a lot of attorneys that we've reached out to, and we've been deeply involved in reaching out, they will come up with some reason. They will either name a very high price that really can't be met, or they will just flat out reject taking the case no matter what evidence you have. Some of them are compromised and controlled by possibly being involved in these rings. They're threatened with their licenses, their ability to practice, if they take this on. And then some of them just don't feel like they can win, and no matter what, because the system has become so corrupted by the Title IV funding. And so this is a huge problem. And so our goal, and we're still reaching out. We are working with someone who may be interested in our case. But, in these situations, what happens to many parents is, even if they can find an attorney, the financial damage, and as well as the other damage to the family unit and the way of life, like in our case, they have subjected us to child support. So I have to pay. They've been taking my military pension in the name of child support to the tune of well over $40,000 since this started. And so it's very damaging to just the ability to maintain your standard of living. And then if you have a job and you have a paycheck, they'll just come and take it right out of your paycheck. They're subjecting Terri to the same in respect to having to pay child support, even though she was a stay-at-home mother. And so it's very damaging. And we're just one example of many other families all across the country. And so what we're doing in our mission, as part of our mission, is we're highlighting this and other people's stories. And we have a show on rumble.com that people can search "Let Our Children Go," and you can follow our weekly show where we're sharing the stories of our fellow Americans who are going through similar situations. So we encourage everyone to check that out and tune in, because there's a lot of egregious things that are going on in our country. And it's not just about us, but like I said, we're just out here for them. And we want remedy, we want justice. So, that's a little bit about our mission. We have two organizations. Terri oversees Let Our Children Go. And we have a couple of really very important ambassadors in our organization. I'll let Terri talk about here in a minute. But we also have a broader organization that people can see behind us, the Heritage and Freedom Coalition, which people can find at h3fc.com. That is like the big tent for any kind of constitutional issues in respect to what we see happening all across the country and various different issues and elements. Any kind of constitutional protection that you would like to bring your big tent issue in, we'd be very happy to welcome you, whether it be, your gun rights, your free speech rights, your right to be secure in your home or your person, against search and seizure and things like that. So we're building local action networks all across the country, because we believe very strongly in what General Flynn said: local action, national impact.
Yeah,
And
I was
so,
just going to say that. And we talk about that all the time on Moms on a Mission, that, I think what you're doing is so great because you're educating people. And that's that we have 3 pillars: educate, awake, and activate. And you can't become activated if you're not educated, and you can't wake up if you're not educated. So it really needs to happen in that order. And so I'm I'm so grieved by your story, but I'm so grateful that you're not just lying down and taking it, and you're speaking out against this. And I just am curious, are there, you seem to be a hub of this coalition of parents who have experienced this horrific type of activity and this violation of our Constitution. Have you seen any wins nationally as you've had people and parents reach out to you? Are there any success stories at all?
There are some people that have, I'm thinking of one mom in particular to where, they've gotten a settlement. A mom that we had on our show last week, her daughters were able to get a settlement, I think, from their issue with foster care. And we do see sometimes when the family is able to have their children returned to them. And this coming, actually our show tomorrow, we're having a mom on who was featured in the documentary Take Care of Maya. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it was a documentary that came out not too long ago. And it was dealing with this specific issue of medical kidnap. And there was a mom who had her children taken in Texas. And so she's going to be interviewing with us. She did have her children return to her, and hopefully she's going to be able to share with us the trauma that is inflicted on the children, especially the older ones that are able to remember and realize what's going on when these strangers come in and take you from your family, when you get put with these other people that you don't even know. And so you can, so that's if you want to call that a win. I mean, it's wonderful that that she could have her children returned to her, but she's, you still have to deal with what they've done to your family. And so we're just really thankful for people like that are willing to speak up and share their story and use their voice. We have another family actually out of Oklahoma that's been on our show, and they had their children taken twice and returned twice. But as you can imagine, I mean, what kind of security do you have that they're not just going to come back and take your children a third or fourth time, when they've already been able to do it to you twice in the past? And so this is part of our mission, is to reclaim. So our mission is to reveal what's happening, like you said, that if people don't know what's happening, they can't do anything to stop it. So the first part of our mission is to reveal what's happening, and then to reclaim our rights under the Constitution, so that these rogue actors in our government can't continue to violate the people's rights like they're doing in so many different aspects. And I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to that when they see the different ways that different government actors, different people are trying to violate people's rights. And like you were talking about with the gender issue, that it's shocking probably to people to think that the state can come in and say, well, if you don't affirm your child, then that's, you're emotionally neglecting or emotionally abusing or medically neglecting your child, or whatever terminology they want to use for it. People may be shocked that that is actually, seems to be being played out now. But the reason is because all these years the groundwork has been being laid for that, with this very system, this child welfare system that they use, the family court system to run these things through, and they have the police going along with it. And so it's not just some CPS person necessarily coming to your door. They've got the weight of law enforcement and the judiciary behind them to be able to do this. And so that groundwork has been being laid over many, many, many years, to where now they just, as you can see with other issues of things that are happening in our country.
Yeah,
it's incremental.
And it doesn't seem to be so incremental now. It's really, full steam ahead. The doors are open. We can see everything they're doing. And I mean, the groundwork was laid over 100 years ago when those Marxists came over from escaping Nazi Germany, and started with education and this Marxist ideology that we're experiencing now just in the forefront has been, percolating for years and has been advancing for years. So this is certainly nothing new, but boy, you sure can see, the tentacles of this in every area of our lives. And I just can't help but think of The Sound of Freedom and that movie and just the resistance. They couldn't get the rights to that movie for years, and finally Tim Ballard was able to get it. But I mean, that's been labeled a political movie, and I just did a news story with His Glory this morning, and we were talking about a news article where the military, they no longer were going to show that movie because they thought it advanced political ideology. I mean, when has saving children been political? I mean, never. And so, I mean, you can just see that they are pushing back against this and really trying to indoctrinate our children and take our children on every level. Really, at the end of the day, I believe it's about money, and it's about, a select few making a lot of money off this. And I'm so devastated by your story. It's just truly unbelievable. I was curious if there is any type of legislature type of support, and if there's any legislation that has been proposed that could help in this arena.
No, not particularly. And that's kind of the focus of our mission in building the local action networks, is that we want to be able to not just minister to the needs of our fellow Americans that in the spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood, but we also want to build those networks, because all of our representatives have offices in our locales, and that we want to be watchdogs within our communities, but we also want the corrective action through our legislative process at the state and federal level, because this wick is burning on both ends of the spectrum, to the destruction of the family unit. And when you talked about the communist Marxist construct there, Miriam, you hit it right. You hit the nail squarely there. And because when you think about how the Adoption of State Families Act and the incentivization of the Title IV Social Security money, and then the way all this works, it's a child and money theft and redistribution operation. It's authoritarian. It deprives people of their rights. It's oppressive. And so when you got the redistribution of the money and children, the destruction of a family and our society, because we're picking off one family at a time, every day it's another family. And even though one family may get their kids back, well, to get that annual bonus and to keep the incentives going, they got to go somewhere in the neighborhood and grab 5 or 10 more kids, and that's another family impacted. And so this has affected hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of our fellow Americans since its inception back in 1997. It's getting worse every year. And now that we're on to really what's going on, well, we want to build those action networks to apply the pressure at our state and federal representatives and demand the corrective action, because we don't have any remedy through the judicial system. Because many times what people will hear is, oh, well, they have immunity. And yet in every state, we've discovered that every state has immunity laws against civil and criminal liability in respect to like a lawsuit for damages, or you if they commit a crime, you can't go after them. But what we found out in the course of our investigation, and this is very important for your listeners to grasp, is that we found a federal law. It's U.S. Code Title 42, Chapter 21, Section 1981, Statement of Equal Rights. And what it says is that all persons under the jurisdiction of the United States shall have the same right in every state to sue and be subject to like pains, punishment, penalties. And it also protects against color of law impairment at the state level. And so if anyone wants to read more about that, I encourage you to go to h3fc.com and look at our All Points Bulletin tab, and you will see that with the protection of our 14th Amendment, and namely that's a right, and one of our last checks and balances where we can have a lawsuit for remedy or have criminal justice and we're denied that right. Well, this really rises to the level of what is all, by all indications, and with my training and my experience, a seditious operation. This is what's happening, the destruction of the family. And an old communist leader said a few years back, I think his name was Lenin, he said, destroy the family and you'll destroy the country. And this is what's happening under this guise.
That's exactly what has happened. And that was really the key with the education, is that there was no way to get the kids away from the families and away from the church, because the kids were educated at home and in the church. And it was kind of like a a working system, one unit. And so the only way that they could indoctrinate them with propaganda was to pull them out of the family unit and put them in a public school setting and a government school setting. And so I just want to say I am so sorry for what's happened to you. I'm so grateful, though, for you that you are sharing the story, that you've started Let Our Children Go. And I believe that as people are educated and waking up, that they will activate and they will support you, and there's strength in numbers. And so I thank you guys so much for coming on today and for sharing your story. And so people can find you, they can follow your show on Rumble, Let Our Children Go, and then they can also go to your website, right? And they can connect with you there. Could they give you their email address, and that's how they could connect with you?
Yes, please. They can go to letourchildrengo.org. And if they want to help as an advocate, or if they are an affected family, or maybe a former foster child or an adoptee, and they want to share their story and get connected, there is a contact form there that they can fill out. And then I think also just our email address is listed there at the bottom of the page. So if you just go to letourchildrengo.org, you can get connected there, and they can also find us on various social sites. Just look for Let Our Children Go and look for the daisy flower. That's our logo.
Yes, I love that yellow daisy flower. It's I think it brings hope when you see the words "Let Our Children Go." That's so frightening. And I really believe with establishing a coalition like this, and with communication and exposure, that I believe Americans are good and will rally around you all and around these other families and help. So thank you both, Mark and Terri Stemann, for coming on today. And thanks for sharing your story. And please, let's support them. Let's follow them on Rumble, Let Our Children Go. And also let's check them out on their website. And we're so grateful for you guys. And thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, Miriam.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry for what's happening. And at the very minimum we can do is pray, and to pray about this and bring this to our Father in heaven. And thank you all so much for listening today. We're so grateful. If you have any questions at all, as always, email us at moms@momsonamission.net. That's moms@momsonamission.net. You can check out our website at momsonamission.net. All our episodes are there, but we really would love for you to follow us on Rumble. Rumble is uncensored, and we just love that. We have a couple of hits on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, if you'd follow us on Rumble for backup, that would be awesome. And then please follow us, though, on your favorite platform. And thanks for listening. In light of recent bank volatility and skyrocketing inflation, diversification is a must. That's why I use my good friend Andrew Sorcini at Beverly Hills Precious Metals. Beverly Hills Precious Metals makes it so easy to diversify. I personally ordered some silver and it arrived on my doorstep just a few days later. They make it so easy. And if you're not ready to do that and you just want to ask a few questions, they're there for you too. I personally got some silver and also am rolling over some of my IRA. You can actually roll over your IRA and have it be backed by silver and gold. So if you don't have any extra money to invest in silver and gold, rolling over a 401k or an IRA, or even part of it, if you just want to try it at first, just for a little bit, you can do that as well. So go to bh-pm.com today and ask all your questions. You can connect with somebody. And like I said, you can just get some information at first if you want and pray about it, and then get back with them to roll over part of your IRA or all of it, or order some gold and silver. That's bh-pm.com. and tell them that Moms on a Mission sent you. Hey, everybody. Did you know that recent research from the CDC says that millions of Americans develop parasitic infections and symptoms often go unnoticed or are misdiagnosed? Parasites are actually the cause of many health problems such as anxiety, depression, chronic pain, fatigue, and unexplained digestive issues. We all need a common sense strategy to improve our health. Moms on a Mission encourages you to reach out to our good friend, Dr. Jason Dean. Dr. Dean's Full Moon Protocol provides all natural detoxification and fights inflammation. And the supplements are made with 100% organic ingredients and are proven to kill parasites safely and effectively. I know after I took Full Moon Protocol, I had more energy, To order your full moon protocol today, go to bravetv.store/mission to save $20 off your first order. That's bravetv.store/mission. According to leading sleep experts and sleephealth.org, over 50 million Americans struggle getting a good night's rest. That's why Moms on a Mission loves MyPillow. MyPillow makes amazing pillows, sheets, mattress toppers, robes, towels, literally almost everything you need for a good night's sleep. They also make dog beds for your dogs. So by going to mypillow.com, typing in the code MISSION, you not only receive a high quality product, but you're supporting Moms on a Mission and this podcast. If you like what you're hearing and you agree with it, you believe in it, and you want to support Moms on a Mission, then go to mypillow.com today and order some high quality products and just type in the code MISSION at checkout and you can save up to 66% off. That's mypillow.com, code MISSION.
Since 2014, Organic Body Essentials has offered clean, simple, certified organic skincare. Our organic face-to-feet and federally compliant hemp and pet products are manufactured under USDA and FDA guidelines. Our products are inspired by God using plants He created. In Ezekiel 47:12, it says, "The fruit is for food and the leaves for healing." We believe in the power of God to heal, so we pray over our products and for our customers. Our therapy in a bottle approach has been widely received, and our customers' testimonials continue to inspire us. You can find us at organicbodyessentials.com and obe.organicbodyessentials.com. Please feel welcome to reach out with questions. Use coupon code MISSION at checkout for a discount. Thank you for your support by using MISSION at checkout to benefit Moms on a Mission and their quest to reestablish traditional values in our education system and empowerment for a healthy lifestyle.